Isaiah chapter 14 is primarily a judgment against Babylon, the captor of Judah. We know that because it's stated directly near the beginning of the chapter, verses 3 and 4. When the Lord has given you rest from your pain and turmoil and the hard service with which you were made to serve, you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. How the oppressor has ceased, the insolent fury ceased. Most of the rest of the chapter retains this same theme, a taunt against Babylon, imagining the day when that wicked nation would fall according to the promise of God. The most famous section of this passage centers around verse 12. We'll need to read it from the King James Version to appreciate why it's become a notable passage. This is Isaiah 14, verse 12 from the King James. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? The King James Version uses the word Lucifer, which historically has come to be known as a proper name for Satan. In fact, the entire passage has been treated as a description of Satan and his fall from glory. We need to immediately clarify that the word Lucifer is not a proper name for Satan. The underlying Hebrew word simply refers to the morning star, or the day star, the light bringer. The word Lucifer originally appeared in the Latin Vulgate in the 4th century, and it was transliterated into English in the King James Version. When the verse is translated into modern English without transliteration, it reads like this in the ESV. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low. So the word Lucifer is not a name for Satan, and this passage is not primarily about Satan. It's about the fall of the king of Babylon as explicitly stated in the text. However, biblical prophecy can have compound meanings, being fulfilled in different ways at different times. So in the immediate context, it's clearly referring to the king of Babylon, but the text does sound like a description of Satan in his pride and his fall. For example, Isaiah 14 verses 13 and 14, You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. Above the stars of God, I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to Sheol, to the far reaches of the pit. Some of the earliest Christian writers did associate this passage with Satan because it sounds so much like some descriptions of Satan that we have in the New Testament. Satan was once a glorious creature designed to be in the presence of God. It's possible he was a captain of the angels, an archangel like Michael. Jesus says that he saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven, and we know that hell is for the devil and his angels. So this passage is explicitly a description of the king of Babylon, but the similarities to the fall of Satan are real, and that's expected. The king of Babylon may be a type or symbol of Satan. He ruled as a minister of Satan. The power of pagan nations can always be traced back to Satan himself. This is stated emphatically in Revelation 13, verse 2. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And to it the dragon gave his power and his throne and great authority, the dragon being Satan. This is one specific situation, but I'm convinced this is true all of the time. Satan is called the ruler of this world. He's called the god of this age and the prince of the power of the air. The nations of this world are under the influence of Satan. They follow his leadership, they follow his pride, and they also follow his fall. That's why this passage sounds like a description of Babylon and of Satan, and in some sense, it's a description of both. Thanks for listening.